Good day and welcome to another edition of Citizens Movement Radio News. Today is Thursday, 25 September 2025. I am Lincoln Mwanaka, ready to bring you the latest news and updates. Here are today's headlines on Citizens Movement Radio News. Opposition tells Mnangagwa to learn from Chakwera or face humiliation. Mudenda cannot even win council elections, says the opposition, while mocking the new ZANU-PF SG. Auxilia Mnangagwa and teachers for ED fleecing schools. Now let's delve into the detailed stories. The opposition has urged the ZANU-PF dictator Emmerson Mnangagwa to pluck a feather from the outgoing Malawi president Lazarus Chakwera, who conceded defeat yesterday after losing elections to Peter Mutare. The opposition spokesperson Promise Mukwanandi said Mnangagwa, who has been stealing elections since 2018, must hand over power at the end of his 2 terms in 2028. Speaking to CMR, Mukwanandi said Mnangagwa must dump his 2030 agenda or risk facing people power. Let's hear more from him.
The example in Malawi must serve as a lesson for all dictators in the region. We saw Botswana conceding and allowing a smooth transfer of power. We saw Zambia conceding and allowing a smooth transfer of power. We have seen Malawi now allowing and conceding to a smooth transfer of power. Mr. Mnangagwa has no choice. The region has turned the corner towards democracy. His behavior will no longer be accepted. His behavior will no longer be supported, as evidenced by the damning SADC report that condemned his actions that cause irregularities and unevenness and unfairness in elections. It is clear that going into 2028, Mr. Mnangagwa must abandon the ill-fated 2030 agenda and adopt a more democratic spirit, allow for fresh, free and fair elections to take place, and a leader who is genuinely and authentically elected by the people to take the throne.
The newly appointed ZANU-PF Secretary General Jacob Mudenda, who has been dismissed as a political liability who cannot even win council elections. This was said by former Binganorth MP Honorable Prince Dubeko Sibanda, who said Mudenda, just like his boss Emmerson Mnangagwa, is unelectable. Let's hear Honorable Dubeko Sibanda speaking.
Because I think it is important for people to understand that ordinarily what you expect in a person that occupies a high office in a political party is that that person should be one with some kind of political muscle, with some kind of political capital. Now, this comrade Jacob Mudenda, ever since he started his political career, he has never won anything. He's a person who just depends on these appointments, and as a result, he's a bootlicker, because that's how he can survive. He doesn't have any political capital that he can depend on for him to sustain any serious position. He can't even gather 100 people in any village. So he has got no following, he has got no constituents, he has got nothing politically. So I am sure ED appointed him to make sure that he has got someone who doesn't have any political value, who will simply sit and be a member of the Politburo on the basis of him bootlicking Mnangagwa.
The First Lady Auxilia Mnangagwa and a ZANU-PF affiliate group known as Teachers for ED are reportedly demanding money from schools in Chitungwiza to fund their programs. One of the headmasters who spoke to Citizens Movement Radio on condition of anonymity said they received a memo demanding that they send at least 5 teachers to a Teachers for ED conference to be held at ZANU-PF headquarters from 26 to 27 September in Harare. The memo also demanded that each member pay $50 United States as affiliation fee. Meanwhile, First Lady Auxilia Mnangagwa is said to be demanding $250 United States from schools so that they participate in her cooking competitions. The Amalgamated Rural Teachers Union of Zimbabwe, ATUZ, Secretary General Munyaradzi Masiwa has revealed that at least 128,000 pupils failed to sit for their O-level exams last year after failing to pay ZIMSEC exams registration fee. In an interview with Obed Masarori on the True Patriot podcast yesterday, Masiwa said a silent genocide is currently taking place in the education sector as thousands of learners are being denied their right to education because of poverty. He urged the government to fund basic education in line with provisions of the Constitution. Masiwa said,
"It is quite pathetic what is happening in the education sector. We have got masses of learners who are dropping out of the education system from infant level to ordinary level. So at each and every transition, we have got dozens of learners who are choosing to withdraw from learning environment, not because they want to, but they do not have an option. They are forced by the economic challenges. Poverty is driving people out of schools to do gold panning, drug abuse, and some criminal activities. I can mention for a matter of fact to you that in November 2020, we had 300,000 grade 7 registered students, and we expected 4 years after to have 300,000 registered ordinary level learners under normal circumstances. But that was not like this. In 2024 November, we only had 171,695 learners who registered for 5 O levels and above, which means we had a deficit of 128,305. These are learners who were forced out of school environment because of economic challenges. These learners, if they are not tracked and accounted for, we are really creating a very serious problem in our country. So we continue to urge and appeal to the government to be accountable, to be honest, to respect the Constitution and the citizen of this country. Since they always want their support, they always want them to vote for them into power, but they vote for them into power in exchange of provision of services. So if they are not able to provide the services that are expected by the citizens of this country, what really are they doing? We continue to urge the government to seriously fund education in total. Funding education is not just allowing learners into a school environment, but provision of resources that are required for learners to be at a school. Surely if a learner does not have uniform, if a learner does not have textbooks, if a learner does not have exercise book, or if he is asked to pay for registration fee, eventually such a poor learner may decide to walk out of school and stop going to school. So we urge the government to just do the honest thing, just do the right thing at the right time and provide funding for education in Zimbabwe.
Residents of Hopley in Harare handed a petition to Harare City Council requesting for land to build a community-owned secondary school. One of the parents, Yvonne Bosha, who handed over the petition today, said their community has been sidelined for long when it comes to basic services and development. The Center for Natural Resources Governance Executive Director, Mr. Farai Magu, has warned that some Mutare houses are at risk of mudslides and landslides if Chinese nationals keep on destroying the Christmas pass. Posting on his social media platforms, Mr. Magu urged the government to stop mining operations at the scenic landmark to Mutare. We spoke to Mr. Magu to give us more details on these concerning matters and what his recommendations are to stop these activities.
These Chinese people have started open cast mining very high on the Christmas Pass mountain range. And then they've opened the ground, they've affected even the geology of that area. They are cutting into the rock. There's a huge mound of earth or an overburden which they've created, which comprise of very loose soils. And beneath, I think a few hundred meters down the slope, you have Hillcrest Prep College, and they've got the Hillcrest Secondary School. They are directly beneath that place where the mine is, the operations were taking place. Then in that whole area, on either side of Hillcrest, it's the Toronto residential area where people acquire the residential properties. They've invested a lot of money building their properties, developing their properties. So the risk here that we see is that of mudslides. If it rains consistently, say for a day or two, we see a situation where all the loose soil which these Chinese have created is going to be washed downhill and posing a danger both to the school and to all those people who own those residential areas, residential properties in the area. We also fear that even landslides are possible. It's not far-fetched to predict that there is likelihood of landslides like what happened in Chimanimani a couple of years ago. Also, it's not clear where these people are going to end. They've just started, but our experience with the Chinese is that once they enter a place, they will only exit once they've exhausted everything, which means they are likely even to dig through the mountain and probably end up in the Murambi suburb. So the extent of the possibilities of the area they are going to cover, it's very wide open at the moment, especially given the attitude of the government towards the Chinese, where the authorities like EMA, the Ministry of Mines, they appear like they are hamstrung, they are not able to push back on the Chinese or bring them to order. So that is our real problem. You also have radio signals, mobile network boosters on that same area. So it's really going to affect a lot of things if these Chinese are allowed to continue operating.
Caledonia Mining Corporation has confirmed the death of a worker at East Blanket Mine in Uganda after a blasting accident on September 2022. The company said the incident occurred during secondary blasting operations and will release the victim's name once investigations are completed. Blanket Mine, which is one of the Zimbabwe's largest gold producers, has previously recorded fatalities, including incidents in 2021 and 2022. Mine workers coalescing under the National Mine Workers Union of Zimbabwe, NMWUZ, have called for improvement of working conditions for mine workers. In a letter addressed to the National Employment Council, the NMWUZ President Kurebwa Nomboka raised the concern on the issue of collective bargaining and lack of basic safety and health care for mine workers in old and new mines. The former Masvingo Central legislator Jefferson Chitando has said Zimbabwe must learn from Malawi not to celebrate corrupt individuals like Wikino Jivayo and Kudakwashe Tagwirei. Chitando said Malawians showed the way by removing their corrupt president Lazarus Chakwera and urged Zimbabweans to emulate them by removing the corrupt ZANU-PF leader Emmerson Mnangagwa. Let's hear Chitando speaking.
The just ended elections in Malawi should give a very big political, economic, and social lesson to the people of Zimbabwe that they should never ever, in whatsoever circumstance, praise and hero worship corrupt leaders. The people of Malawi gave a very big lesson that anyone who tampers with their natural resources, anyone who is corrupt should never be seen, should never be near the political power in that country. We should applaud the people of Malawi. We should all praise them for such boldness that they get united and booted out the corrupt Lazarus Chakwera. In Zimbabwe, we should emulate that. But to many people's surprise, Zimbabweans, they praise the hero worship, Chakwera, Chivayo, Scott Sakukanya, and others. When they donate cars which are a proceed of corrupt tenders, we should all be worried. But these are Zimbabwean resources which should be channeled to education, which should be channeled to health, but are in the hands of a few corrupt devil mafias of this country. But they have got a leader who is urging them. So in any election, the people of Zimbabwe should emulate the people of Malawi and put Emmerson Mnangagwa, who is protecting these corrupt Ziganandas.
In our sports news, the Zimbabwe Warriors stars continue to shine in South Africa's Betway Premiership. Last night, Warriors forward Tandolweni Nkosi Ngwenya scored a beautiful goal for his side Amazulu in their 3-1 loss to TS Galaxy. Warriors goalkeeper Washington Arubi saved Gaston Sirino's penalty to help Marumo Glance secure a 1-1 draw against Kaizer Chiefs. In the Carabao Cup matches played last night, Arsenal beat Port Vale 2-0, while Manchester City beat Huddersfield by the same scoreline. Newcastle United tried Bradford 4-1, and Tottenham were too good, Donetsk Rovers winning 3-0. Nottingham Forest held Spanish side Real Betis to a 2-2 draw in their opening UEFA Europa League group match. Here are results of matches played last night in that competition. FC Midtjylland 2, Sturm Graz 0, PAOK FC 0, Maccabi Tel Aviv 0, Dinamo Zagreb 3, Fenerbahce 1, Red Star Belgrade 1, Celtic 1, Freiburg 2, Basel 1, Malmo FF 1, Ludogorets 3, Nice 1, Roma 2, SC Braga 1, Feyenoord 0. To conclude our Citizens Movement Radio News, here are the headlines once more. Opposition tells Mnangagwa to learn from Chakwera or face humiliation. Mudenda cannot even win council election, says the opposition, while mocking the new ZANU-PF SG. Auxilia Mnangagwa and teachers for ED fleecing schools. That's all for tonight's news bulletin. Thank you for listening to CMR. Join us tomorrow for more news and updates. Until then, good night and stay informed.